Okay, it's 1 minute past the hour, so I might just kick off. Thanks everyone for coming and joining our Cloud Marketplace NextCP Update webinar, as well as Microsoft Update webinar. I'm your host, Emmy Beale from the Ingram Cloud team. So just going to go through the general agenda for today. So I'm going to go through what is NextCP, as well as the advantage of NextCP and self-service. Then I'll go through Active Directory integration, the Cloud Marketplace billing connector, and then I'll turn over to Microsoft MVP Robert Crane, who will be going through our Microsoft CSP partner update, followed lastly by our Marketplace vendor update. So firstly, for those of you just getting acquainted with the Ingram Marketplace and wondering what on earth is this NextCP, essentially it's the part of the portal that you can allow customers to directly interact with for the marketplace. So this is, to use old terminology, the end customer control panel. So just know that end customer pricing is utilised on this part of the portal, and the customer can only view information relating to their organisation in this part of the portal as well. So what we have done is we've recently updated the look, feel and functionality to be less 1998 and more 21st century, as well as making it more user-friendly for our partners and their customers to interact with and navigate. So this new intuitive user interface is designed to attract more revenue from your customers by simplifying the process of upselling, cross-selling and bundling in cloud services. Just by allowing your customers to go on the path of self-discovery, allowing them this access to this portion of the marketplace, you can realise additional revenue. We know that this happens organically with our partners already. It's really only human to explore. You can also make it your own portal by rebranding the logo up the top left corner to your own company logo to really have ownership of this portion of the portal. There's a consistent user interface across the different services for your different end users, and the interface is also adaptive to the device. So there's an adaptive user interface for smartphones and tablets running either on iOS or Android technology, and a mobile version of NextCP will open on mobile phones and a desktop version will open on tablets essentially. At the risk of sounding too cliched, NextCP is the single pane of glass for managing your subscriptions. So user management can be done in this NextCP console. Subscription management can also be done via the one pane of glass, so you can spin up new subscriptions or make changes to existing subscriptions, increases and decreases, as well as assignment of services from this part of the portal. Now, we have various services which are integrated into the marketplace with different levels. So at the moment, for example, with Dropbox, we have this full integration, whereas with Office 365, at the moment it's still, you will need to put that in. Apologies. Screen went blank. So with Office 365, we're still working towards having that full integration. We've got the spinning up of the subscription services, increasing and decreasing of licenses, but in the future roadmap, you'll also be able to manage users as well. So exactly how have we made it easier to upsell on different cloud solutions? For starters, you can easily view and order the catalogue of cloud services through the Marketplace tile, which you'll see has been circled there, or the left-hand menu. You can select existing plans on the left menu or on the tile area, and essentially follow the bouncing ball to add additional licenses. The NextCP makes it easy for you to provision both new subscriptions and add-on licenses from the one area instead of performing these functions in separate areas of the marketplace. You also have streamlined account management, which means you can view pending orders and service order history, review purchase subscriptions and their status, and there's also improved intuitive user management as well. So NextCP has real-time notifications. So a key point of feedback that we've received from you guys, our partners, was around the notifications, or more the lack thereof. So essentially, you spoke and we listened. So know that we do actually listen to your suggestions that you put forward to us. So we've added a component to this NextCP which provides real-time notifications on user activations and additions, as well as payments. You can review the activity log for the customer as an administrator, and you can even drill down to the user level, which can be quite important for customers so that you know exactly which staff member has put through an order. So just to summarise, in terms of advantages for Microsoft CSP, there's a cleaner, more accessible experience for managing subscriptions and licenses. It's easier to add more licenses, purchase more add-ons, and shop for new products. And the new APS that we have implemented means that you have faster provisioning and also improved validation for MPN IDs and addresses as well. So now I'll turn over to how these updates have affected our Azure CSP module. So there's three key elements here. So we have increased account visibility for your Azure CSP services, faster resource deployment as well, and enhanced subscription management. Now, I'll just go through these areas in detail just now. So in terms of increased account visibility, you have a clear view of itemized usage by customer or by workload, and partners can now reconcile billed items faster and bill customers more effectively. So it's easier to get billing reports, etc., from the portal. So you view and reconcile customer usage and statistics. You can drill down on report filters with cost breakdowns, and you'll have an explanation of the charges by hours, gigs, users, nodes, etc. So another key element that has been added to the NextCP under our Azure module is the budget cap. So if you're very conscious, or if your customer is very conscious about spending, you can set alerts that let you know when you're 80% or 100% of that Azure cap. So there's also faster deployment through our pre-built templates. So you'll see here that there is a list of the various templates that we have available that you can just basically click on to use via our marketplace. You can also bring your own template through building your own, or utilize the library of templates available through GitHub. So as I mentioned earlier, you also have enhanced subscription management. So essentially it's an easier, more efficient management of multiple Azure CSP subscriptions under the same tenant. So previously it was quite difficult to use the same tenant domain. Now we've made this easy for you. You can filter and search by tags and resource groups in NextCP, as well as restore access to the Azure portal for direct access and management of Azure resources as well. So I briefly spoke about how about our experiences with self-serve and how it's helped us as a business to increase our revenue organically. But I just wanted to share with you briefly on other experiences in market as well. So essentially, it comes down to three key things: convenience, efficiency, and control. So let's talk about convenience and efficiency first. So in terms of convenience and simplicity, people today want the Amazon experience. It's perceived convenience. They want the speed. Speed is critical for self-service success. You may want to pay to wait for that wonderful, slowly cooked food in a plush restaurant, but you certainly don't want to pay to wait in McDonald's. Take, for example, Google. They're the king of speed. Before Google launched Gmail in 2004, its creator brought it to review. They decided it was too slow. It had to take a full 600 milliseconds for the page to load, and as a result of observing consumer behavior, Google found that any delay greater than 500 milliseconds, half a second, has a negative impact on customer behavior. People don't consciously notice such delays, but they feel the slowness and will avoid, if possible, any environment that feels slow. Another example is Bing. They performed a similar study and found there was a 3-second delay beyond the average for search results to appear, and found that there was a 4% drop in advertising revenue from that page. Another example is Amazon. They performed an A/B test where they tried delaying their pages in increments of 100 milliseconds and found that such events with these small delays would result in a substantial and costly drop in revenue. So reduced wait times. 57% of consumers report having unsatisfactory service interactions. Often customers will jump from channel to channel to try and get an issue resolved, or have extended wait times for a callback for support, or even the need to get a simplified sales order placed, causing for unsatisfactory interactions, which can be costly to companies. So the source for this is Forrester. Forrester estimates that an average of $22 million in unnecessary service costs are lost due to channel escalation. So essentially, it's all about convenience, efficiency, and the ease and speed of being able to transact and interact with these systems. So just touching on that last point for control. So this also relates to price. So people have an expectation that if they're serving themselves, they get some sort of reward or payback for the effort they are putting in and the effort they are saving the organisation. Of course, this may be balanced by the convenience and control factor. So control is being able to put it in their hands. It's one of the greatest things the web has given us. So, for example, when you go to a supermarket, you prefer to choose your own fruit than having someone pick it for you in packs. When you book an airline ticket, you prefer to select your own seat rather than having someone else choose it for you. There's also improved collections by way of transparency and power of choice. Customers love transparency. People go online and do their research in order to make better and informed decisions. They want to see essential information such as price. This means you need integrated and accurate customer data, remove the one-size-fits-all approach and take into account the different types of needs that each customer has. Customers can tailor their buying experience to their specific needs, and there's less room for error because they're doing the actual provisioning. So that in a nutshell is just a plug as to how the self-service movement is happening in market. So what I'm going to talk about just briefly is with regards to how our new billing connector from ID Sync can help you with the admin side. Just a little bit on that. So essentially, the new ID Sync billing connector can connect our marketplace billing backend into your contracts in ConnectWise and AutoTask. So what it does is it can automate the process of increase and decrease of licenses. Instead of you having to get an Excel report every month and try and reconcile that, in real time you can have the billing data from our marketplace directly going into your various contracts for your different customers in ConnectWise and AutoTask. Now, they also have an Active Directory component as well, so this is separate from the billing connector. But imagine just ensuring that you have enough license provision on our marketplace for Office 365, and then just simply updating your on-premise AD with the user details, and having this information feed through to ConnectWise or AutoTask automatically, our marketplace, and Office 365. So you'll have your users set up automatically. And this is all bi-directional as well. And you can manage the various changes as well, such as password changes and any user changes as well. ID Sync can make this possible. So lastly, before I turn over to Robert Crane, I'm just going to briefly talk about the new Microsoft CSP partner alignment. So just to go over in less words than is on this PowerPoint presentation what it actually is. It's really to do with the Partner Admin Center. So this is something that you should already be taking advantage of if you're selling Office 365 services, because it's a single sign-on to your customers' tenants. You have centralized management of your various customers, whether they are on CSP, open, syndication, or direct. So the biggest change is now you can associate yourself with your preferred distie, which I hope is us. Details on this will be sent out to you when we send out this slide deck. So enough from me. I'll now hand over to Robert Crane for Microsoft updates.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, hopefully? Can you hear me?
Yep.
We good? You good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks very much for that. Let me give you some information on Microsoft and what's been happening of late in this space. So next slide for me, Emmy, please. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Windows 10 for Creators update will be rolling out from the 17th of October. So this will enable a lot of new features, some of them being the exciting ones for resellers around the Windows Autopilot ability, which means that you'll be able to provision and push out Windows 10 builds from the cloud. It also gives you the new OneDrive on-demand sync client, plus a number of additional options. So again, that will be rolling out from the 17th of October on a staged implementation, obviously as Microsoft looks at its telemetry, but be prepared for the updates. Obviously, if you're on the Windows Insider preview build, you can get an early look at that. Certainly recommend that you have a look at that, especially the OneDrive on-demand sync client, which is really, really good. Next one here is that Microsoft is running its big IT Pro conference in the US on the 25th to 29th of September. We expect to see a huge raft of updates and information coming out on Office 365 and Azure. The great thing that Microsoft does do with these conferences is that it records all the sessions and generally puts them up and makes them available on demand very quickly. Last year, all the sessions went up to YouTube within, I think, about 2 weeks or so. So, again, it means that you can certainly consume all this information and keep up to date quickly and easily without having to obviously spend the time or have to watch it live. Microsoft also recently reported its revenues from its cloud businesses, which it basically calls its cloud run rate. It's getting towards the $20 billion mark that they've set for next year. So this includes things like Azure, Office 365, Dynamics 365, all rolled into a single figure. But again, the figures indicate that Office 365 is continuing to move along now, I suppose, at a bit of a slower pace than what it started out with, but the real tearaway option now is Azure. So Azure continues to grow month on month by almost 200%, I think. So it's going great guns. The other interesting thing was that Azure announced 2 new regions in Canberra. So these 2 new data centres are in a partnership with an Australian provider, and they are targeted at the government services, so the government clients down there in Canberra. So it's very interesting that we're getting more data centres here in Australia. It indicates the move, I suppose, the acceptance of Azure for government clients when it comes to things like security and compliance. Next slide, please. So let's talk about some Office 365 updates. So next slide again, please. Okay, so one of the first things you probably need to be aware of is the way Microsoft is making changes to how Outlook connects to Exchange Online. Now, it's announced that its older protocol, the RPC over HTTP, which was Outlook Anywhere, will no longer be supported after the 31st of October. Now, basically, when this happens, the protocol of preference will be MAPI over HTTP, and that means older clients like 2007 won't be supported anymore, won't be able to connect to Exchange Online. 2010 and 2013 versions will need to make sure they have the latest updates, and the link is there for you to go and have a look at from Skykick to indicate which KVs that you need to put on your systems to make sure they can talk to Exchange Online. So 2010 and 2013 will still work. You obviously get the best experience if you're using the latest software, so Office and Outlook 2016 are the preferred options. So again, if you do have older systems, make sure that they are up to date so they can continue to connect to Exchange Online. Next, please. Microsoft also released into commercial customers its Forms product. So it's had this in education for a while now, and this basically allows you to create simple questions and answers, surveys, and quickly collect information from people. Forms is now available in all commercial tenants, and it is enabled by default, so that all users will have the ability now to go in and create forms, collect information, and again, it's not particularly sophisticated, I suppose. It allows you to collect information and store it in the spreadsheet as well as view it graphically. Where the real power of Microsoft Forms comes in is when you start combining it with something like Microsoft Flow, which is an automation engine that's also part of Office 365. So now we can take information using Microsoft Forms. The forms can be published publicly, so you can take a public URL, push it out to anybody on the internet. They can complete the information that we save for you, and if you want to, you can use Flow to automate that to have the information end up in something like SharePoint Online if you want to do that. So very simple, handy application, great way to collect information, and again, turn on by default now in all commercial tenants. Next, please. Okay, another new product that Microsoft is bringing to Office 365 is something called Stream. So Stream is its updated video storage or portal. This is taking the place of Microsoft Video. So Microsoft Video is a service which is available to the E SKUs, so E1, E3, E5, so on. And what it does, it allows you to create your own corporate YouTube-style portal where you can upload videos and then embed them in things like SharePoint. Now, what Stream provides is a new up-to-date interface. It provides faster access, but one of the big things that it does include is the ability to, for example, do automatic captioning and also potentially to be able to recognize the speakers. So what we're going to see is that the Stream service will take a video that's uploaded. It will allow you to do the embedding and the displaying as it has before, but it will basically create the subtitles for you and importantly make those searchable across your Office 365 environment. So we should see shortly the ability to upload a video and then do a search and find out where that person was mentioned or perhaps where they're speaking or any terms that were mentioned in that video. Now, what we expect to see is over time is that you should see the Stream icon available in Office 365. You can upload videos into that. Another benefit of Stream is that the storage used by these videos is separate from your SharePoint storage. So the existing Microsoft Video shares the storage with SharePoint Online, but Stream has its own storage bucket. Over time, any videos that are in Microsoft Video will be migrated to Microsoft Stream, but at this point in time, they're considered two separate options for those who have rights to them. So if you do have an enterprise SKU, go in and have a look at Microsoft Stream, upload a video, and again, have a look at the automatic captioning that it can do for you. in the long run, Microsoft Video will be retired and all the information moved into Microsoft Stream, so it's all consolidated together. Next, please. Another addition that Microsoft has made in the collaboration space is the release of communication sites. So when we've worked with SharePoint previously, we basically create a team site. So a team site is designed for users to collaborate and work together on a set of files, on contacts, on calendars and those sort of things. Now, what was perhaps lacking was the ability to create a broadcast style website, intranet environment, basically that you could publish information out to a large majority of users. So what Microsoft has done is it is now making available communication sites. So when you create a new SharePoint site, you get the option to either create a team site or a communication site. So the difference here is that a communication site is designed to publish information out to a large set of users by a much smaller group of authors. So nice interface, it's got something new web parts in it that allow you to highlight content like pictures, links, so again, easy to use and create. The other important thing to remember about communication sites is that when you use them, you don't automatically create an Office 365 group. So with team sites in SharePoint and Office 365, when we create a team site, we also get an Office 365 group, which gives us a planner, which gives us a shared calendar, as well as a shared email list. So communication sites are squarely aimed at the traditional intranet style environment. And again, they are now available to all users. And if you go to the SharePoint homepage and select to create a new site, you'll see the option to select between communication sites and team sites. Next, please. Probably the biggest product that Microsoft has announced, or the change, is a new SKU which they are calling Microsoft 365. So Microsoft 365 is a combination of three existing products. It is a combination of Office 365, Windows 10, and also Azure Information Protection and Intune. So think of it as a combination of the most common products required to manage an environment. So there are basically two SKUs at this point. There is a business Office 365 for business, and there is also an Microsoft 365, for enterprise. Now, they include different, basically basic functionality, but at its core, you get an Office 365 license. You get the ability to deploy Windows Pro or Enterprise onto desktops as a subscription, and you also get the ability to manage those devices, typically with Microsoft Intune, but also you get the advantages of things like the information protection, things like advanced rights management. So all of these are bundled into a single product, which you can purchase today via your normal means. And this is aimed at basically solving that problem where you have businesses that now require up-to-date desktops. You need the ability to push out updates to manage the devices, not only PCs, but also phones. You can now do all that in a single package from Microsoft. The big advantage here is that, like Office 365, the one login from Azure AD will give you control for the user to manage their devices, manage their Office 365, and also manage their Windows 10. Now, with the Fall Creators update that is also coming out, we're going to see the autopilot option available, which again will allow people to create an image and store that in the cloud and then be able to roll that image out via the internet to users who have the Windows 10 Fall Creators update. So we could move devices from maybe Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro while they have a valid license of Microsoft 365. So there'll be more information and more focus placed on this product for the remaining part of this year. If you haven't had a look at what it is, I would strongly recommend that you go and do a bit of research to understand what the bundle includes. But like I said, in essence, it's Office 365 plus Windows 10 Pro and Enterprise plus Intune and the Azure information protection. So again, I think it's a very important SKU, especially for the SMB space. Next slide. Now, not only did Microsoft announce its Microsoft 365, they also announced 4 new applications they'll be rolling into Business Premium. So as you can see, these are Microsoft Connections, Invoicing, Listing, plus a third-party application they recently bought called MileIQ. So the Connections idea here is it allows you to control your social media presence, to do things like your ads. You can do that all from a single console within Office 365, so it gives you more control over the marketing of your business. You'll also get a basic invoicing ability, so I think FreshBooks, I think the ability to push out invoices quickly and easily within the Office 365 environment. Another key part of these apps also is their ability to be available on mobile devices, as you can see. The other one is Microsoft Listings, which allows you to basically control your ads in things like Facebook ads and Google ads. So when you want to advertise your business, you'll see that you can look at trends, you can look at updates, you can control your online advertising. Now the last one there, the MileIQ, basically is an app that allows you to keep track of your kilometrage usage or your mile usage as you drive around. So you can start the app, it will then track basically where you're travelling to, how long that you've spent travelling kilometres-wise and time, and the aim is obviously for that to feed back into the database and the invoicing at some stage. So again, all of these apps, if they haven't rolled out to you already, they will be rolling out shortly. The important thing to remember is at this stage, all of these new apps, Connections, Invoicing, Listings, and MileIQ, are currently only available to those that have a Business Premium subscription, right? So at this stage, if you have any other SKU at this stage, unfortunately, you will miss out. The plans Microsoft has, probably based on how well these apps are adopted within this Business Premium SKU, will depend on whether they roll them out to the enterprise SKUs as well as other business SKUs. So time will tell on that, but if you have Business Premium, go in and have a look and have a play with these new apps. Next, please. Okay, so let's move from our Office 365 to our Azure. And again, there's been a raft of updates, improvements, and announcements in this space as well. Next slide, please. The first one of these is nested virtualization. So one of the, I suppose, requests that Microsoft has received is the ability for users to be able to get to the hypervisor layer, which you currently can't in something like Azure. So what we've got now is Azure allows you to create and build a virtual machine. And again, there are some limitations around that, and the link is there to get more details. But then what you can do is once you have your base virtual machine like you would on-prem, you can then put a number of virtual machines or guest VMs inside that. So instead of perhaps having a range of virtual machines that are hosted in Azure, so individual virtual machines hosted in Azure, you could create one large virtual machine and you could host the guest VMs in there. Now the advantage that's going to give you, you're going to get all the benefits of Azure, but you're also going to be able to get the benefits of getting low-level access to the hypervisor if you need to do that. So again, another indication of the direction Microsoft's taking, the enablement it's allowing people to have with their infrastructure as a service in Azure. So again, you can have individual virtual machines hosted in Azure, but now we can also have virtual machines that allow us to run Hyper-V in them. So again, more flexibility for people, gives you the option to run it either way. If you need more control, have a look at the nested virtualization option. Next, please. So Microsoft continues to improve and enhance its backup capabilities. So if you're not aware, there is an option in each virtual machine that you create in Azure that gives you the ability to schedule regular backups. Now, what we could do now is that Microsoft now has enabled for Windows and Linux machines the ability effectively for you to mount a recovery point in that virtual machine that you're backing up and then basically do a restore. So this is very similar to a lot of the image-based on-prem environments that you're probably familiar with. The good thing here, it's all done by Azure. The storage is managed by Azure, and then again, if you need an individual file back from an image, just mount that, copy the file back, and then dismount the image. So making it nice and easy. One of the other great things, obviously, about the Azure environment is that we can script all of this as well. So we can use PowerShell, we can use templates to achieve a lot of this. So again, really handy option here. Next, please. Another improvement on the security front is just-in-time VM access. So one of the things that you need to do when you run a virtual machine is you need to get access to it so you can configure it or install software. Now, that typically means that the RDP port is open, and again, if you need to get to it from the outside world, that RDP port basically is potentially exposed. And if you don't have good passwords or good policies, or you're using an RDP gateway, then it could be vulnerable. So Microsoft is now giving you the ability to create just-in-time VM access. So what that means is that if you need access, or a user specifically needs access to a VM, then what you can do is configure that for, say, an hour's access or 3 hours access, and then once that time has elapsed, that port will effectively be closed off, so they can't have access anymore, even if they have the right credentials. So again, think of it as an intelligent firewall. It's something you can enable here, and again, the options are there for you to go and have a look. But if you do have VMs that are exposed to the internet and you haven't taken adequate precautions, again, go in and have a look at this ability to have just-in-time VM access, which will basically prevent the ports from being open all the time, where people can run automated cracking tools against them. Next, please. All right, so one of the other things we can now do with Azure AD Premium is we can have conditional access on applications. So if you haven't seen, you can go in once you've added Azure AD Premium to your tenant, and you can go in, for example, and you can say, I don't want my users to have access to Microsoft Teams when they're outside the business, or they can only access it on mobile devices, or they can't access it from insecure locations. So this conditional access has a lot of flexibility in that it can be defined around the devices, around IPs. You can also whitelist IPs so that if they're behind a corporate firewall in a known IP arrangement, they can get access. Once they move outside that, they can be denied. Now, this allows you to set up conditional access for your full range of Office 365, but the one that is covered in this post here is around Microsoft Teams. So as the popularity of Teams continues to grow, you may want to be able to have the control to prevent users from accessing that from insecure locations. So again, have a look at that blog post. It shows you how easy it is to configure and set up. But just remember that you will need Azure AD Premium to do this. And of course, every Office 365 or Azure tenant allows you to automatically get a trial of Azure AD Premium, so you can go in and try these features out. So again, a good indication around the security that Microsoft is taking when it comes to applications from the cloud. And in the background, we've got logging, we've got auditing, we've got reporting, we've got notifications around this as well. So again, if you're looking to manage an environment and get notifications when something falls out of compliance or breaches the policy, you can certainly do that as well. Next, please. So Azure has also announced additional VPN gateways. So there are a number of VPN gateways. The capacity of the gateway, the number of tunnels, the number of endpoints, the speed and throughput are dependent on the different types. So Microsoft has announced 3 additional types. Again, you can have a look at that link there. You'll notice that they've also specified that the new ones are faster than the older ones, obviously using some advanced options here to get that throughput. Remember that the pricing for the gateways varies on what level you want to choose, and you can check that out using the Azure pricing calculator. But now we've got more options for our VPN gateways. Just make sure you go in and check exactly what each gateway includes when it comes to things like tunnels and also connection points. Next, please. So the last point that I've got to make you aware of is that Microsoft also announced that the Azure disks have been increased, or can now be, new disks can be set up to 4 terabytes. So before we had 1 terabyte disks, so if you wanted 4 terabytes, you basically had to combine 4 disks together. Now we're getting the ability to start with 4 terabyte data disks. And this has now been rolled out to standard, so the HDD mechanical disks, as well as the premium SSD style in Azure. So again, if you need large storage environments, you can now base those environments using 4 terabyte disks rather than a limiting 1 terabyte. This means obviously on machines that have a limited number of data disks that can be attached, which are typically the smaller ones, you can obviously get a lot more capacity now, or 4 times the capacity now than you used to with these new disks. So again, it indicates the fact that Microsoft is able to provide greater and greater resources when it comes to the Azure environment, and again, it's giving you that ability to scale up to much larger sizes. So with that, that's basically all the major updates. I've got lots of things happening in this space in Office 365 and Azure, especially around Microsoft 365. Watch out for the updates coming from the Microsoft Ignite event at the end of September. But I think with that, I'll hand it back to Emmy.
Okay, thanks for those updates, Robert. So we will be sending through the slide deck after this presentation, so don't worry about trying to note down all these URLs. You'll be able to just copy and paste the links. So I'm just going to finish up with a couple of marketplace updates. So for those of you who are new to the Ingram Cloud, just letting you know the current vendors that we have with us. So obviously Office 365, Azure, Dropbox. A new one that we've onboarded is Lookout. We've had Nomadesk for a little while, IBM SoftLayer, Skykick, Yola Web Business Builder, Acronis, ConnectWise, BitTitan, Sirius, Autodesk, DocuSign, Symantec, Norton, and Trend. So now in the next slide, I'm just going to let you know what we have coming up for the rest of the year. So there is an Autodesk upgrade on the marketplace. Also, Office 365 government SKUs, they will now be orderable from the marketplace by the end of the year. Exclaimer will be available, although you'll need to place the order outside of the marketplace. On the marketplace, we'll have Cisco Spark and RPost, as well as our Concerto IS and PAS solution. So that's really it from us. Feel free to get in touch with us, either contact your Cloud Account Manager or BDM. You can also contact our team at imcloudau@ingrammicro.com, or give us a call on 02 9381 6735, or connect to us through social media via the usual means, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So that concludes our Marketplace and NextCP update webinar for today. I'll give you guys back the rest of the time and hope you have a good rest of the day. Thanks very much.